Now, this story is getting wild, my friends. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, has been indicted, and he's coming out and saying that they're targeting him. The federal government is targeting him because he is defying their immigration plans. I'm not so sure I believe him. I got to be honest. We'll go over why. I mean, the dude was paying illegal immigrants $4,000 to settle into the city permanently. Now that he's being indicted, and I suppose the allegations are something about taking foreign money for his campaign, now he's coming out and saying, hey, man, I was pushing back on the Biden administration. Well, I got some tweets from Ashley St. Clair. She suggests this may actually be the case because dude was squabbling with the federal government over this. And I don't know, maybe he was giving the $4,000 to illegal immigrants to settle in the city permanently because it was a compromise or something, but he didn't compromise enough. So they decided to go after him and raid him. And I don't know. It's a wild story. Look. The feds never go after someone unless they know they can get a conviction. So if you take a look at how the system is being weaponized against Donald Trump, even the cases they've brought against them that they've actually tried to get him on serious charges have been state level. At the federal level, we've got the documents case, which is weak. But we'll see. We'll break this down and we'll go over exactly what's going on. Then we got some crazy news. Republicans are flipping voter registration. According to Gallup, when you include independents and ask them which way are you leaning, 50% of this country says Republican and only 45% says Democrat, which is a huge boon for the Republican Party. And with key counties in Pennsylvania, it's looking pretty good. But of course, Republicans are getting pretty perturbed because there's automatic voter registration happening now. They're trying to swing this. You got people like Scott Pressler on the ground doing the work, registering Republicans. And then you've got automatic voter registration. That's so insane, in fact. We got one story, actually, for the opening segment with Eric Adams about migration. A non-citizen discovers he was registered to vote. He never even did. He got a license. They gave him registration. We'll talk about that. We got Mark Zuckerberg, who claims to be a libertarian. Nice try, dude. We're going to talk about your censorship. And we got breaking news from America First Legal right now. And then, my friends, a recession is looming. Economists right now are warning that the economy is going to get bad. In fact, most of you already know it's bad. Why? I don't know how to tell you this, guys, but last night we talked about this. Hooters shut down dozens of locations, has massive hundreds of millions of dollars in debt, and they don't know what they're going to do. Well, now I got more news. A major Pizza Hut franchise is shutting down 130 locations. So when they come out and they say the economy is better than ever, and you're like, dude, my Pizza Hut just shut down. My Hooters is shutting down. Ain't nobody buying any of this stuff. It says a lot. Certainly, indeed, it does. So we'll talk about all of that, my friends. But before we get started, we got a great sponsor today, Preserve Gold. Check out preservegold.com/TimPool. Financial experts are urging Americans to prepare now. With inflation soaring, a border crisis affecting cities and small towns, and warnings of a recession, my friends, we are living in insane, unpredictable times. To protect your retirement accounts and 401ks, you should strongly consider physical gold and silver. Right now, Preserve Gold has an exclusive offer for my viewers where you can get up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualified purchase as well as a free guide. Text TIM to 50505 to learn more or visit preservegold.com/TimPool. Preserve Gold has hundreds of 5-star reviews, millions of dollars in trusted transactions, lots of happy clients. And I got to tell you, my friends, considering what we're going on about today, maybe you should. Just reach out to them. Shout out to Preserve Gold for sponsoring the show, of course. We really do appreciate it. But we're going to talk about inflation, and we're going to talk about a recession that is looming and all of the stores that are shutting down. Things ain't looking so good, my friends, but I hope y'all are prepared. Let's talk about this first story. Check this out. The breaking news. Eric Adams was indicted last night. This morning, they raided his Gracie mansion, the Daily Mail reports. Late on Wednesday night, a federal grand jury returned an indictment against New York City Mayor Eric Adams following a wide-ranging corruption investigation that has seen several top officials resign in recent weeks. Adams has now become the first New York City mayor to be charged with criminally while still in office. However, the exact charges against him are not clear. They say follow for more info. At 7:44 a.m., Eric Adams' Gracie mansion raided by the feds. Federal agents descended on Mayor Adams' official residence early on Thursday morning, hours before prosecutors are expected to announce charges. The 6 a.m. raid on the Adams' Gracie mansion in Manhattan's Upper East Side saw a group of around a dozen agents enter the property with backpacks and duffel bags. It came after a federal grand jury returned an indictment against Adams following a wide-ranging corruption investigation. However, the exact charges against the mayor are not yet clear. Now, the information that we're getting is that it may be related to taking foreign money. Turkey, as well as many other countries. We have got this from the New York Times. U.S. inquiry into New York mayor's foreign ties said to include 6 countries. Federal prosecutors investigating Mayor Eric Adams and his campaign's ties to Turkey issued subpoenas in July for records related to 5 other countries. Now, right now, we got Eric Adams popping up, and he's got a response as to what is going on. He says that they are targeting him because he has defied the Democrat plan on mass migration. That may be the case. Don't know. But let's take a listen and take a look at what some other people are saying.
My fellow New Yorkers, it is now my belief that the federal government intends to charge me with crimes. If so, these charges will be entirely false, based on lies. But they would not be surprising. I always knew that if I stood my ground for all of you, that I would be a target. And a target I became. For months, leaks and rumors have been aimed at me in an attempt to undermine my credibility and paint me as guilty. Just this past week, they searched the home of our new police commissioner, looking for documents from 20 years ago, just 1 week after he joined my administration. Enough. I will fight these injustices with every ounce of my strength and my spirit. If I'm charged, I know I am innocent. I will request an immediate trials so the New Yorkers can hear the truth. New Yorkers know my story. They know where I come from. I have been fighting injustice my entire life. That fight has continued as your mayor. Despite our pleas, when the federal government did nothing as its broken immigration policies overloaded our shelter system with no relief, I put the people of New York before party and politics.
I don't think so.
Now, if I am charged, many may say I should resign because I cannot manage the city while fighting the case. I can also understand how everyday New Yorkers will be concerned that I cannot do my job while I face accusation. But I have been facing these lies for months since I began to speak out for all of you and their investigation started. Yet the city has continued to improve. Make no mistake, you elected me to lead this city, and lead it I will. I humbly ask for your prayers and your patience as we see this through. God bless you, and God bless the city of New York.
Now imagine what would happen if this dude were to resign. He says, I'm under investigation. I'm going to have to put all my efforts to fight this legal battle. I can't be your mayor. Resign. Someone else steps in. And then what happens? He says, open the floodgates, bring all the illegal immigrants in. We're going to give them every single thing they want. I'm not sure I believe Mayor Adams, though, my friends. Look, for all of the concerns we have with the federal government, the weaponization of the DOJ and how they go about things, the issue that we predominantly see is that, one, with the FBI, they get informants. As with like the Whitmer kidnapping case, the informants, which was the overall majority, try to goad people into doing things. But only when they can say, hey, look, a person did something, do they bring charges. Not that we trust that there was a real incident in that regard. As it pertains to Donald Trump and the weaponization of the DOJ, well, they're going after Trump. They failed on the January 6th garbage. They're going after Trump on the documents case, and they're failing miserably there, too, which is kind of surprising. The feds have something like a 95 to 98% conviction rate. I'll put it this way. I actually lean towards, I think Eric Adams is probably guilty, but the only reason they're bringing charges against him is because he defied them to some degree. That is to say, if he played ball, they would let him get away with these crimes. So that's the point. It's show me the man and I'll show you the crime. They got a whole bunch of cronies and crackpots that bend the knee and they know they're guilty of something. And the DOJ can choose to go after him at any moment, but never does. Hence, Joe Biden's got documents. They say, we don't care. Donald Trump's got documents. They say, won't someone think of the children? But let's take a look at where we're at, because we do have some responses here. We got Ashley St. Clair. She says Mayor Eric Adams is being politically persecuted by a weaponized judicial system for being the only big city Democrat mayor to speak out against the flood of illegal immigrants into our neighborhoods. She goes on to say, by the way, the inside scoop is Mayor Eric Adams was meeting with several large right-wing leaders over the last 6 months. This indictment isn't about political corruption. We still have no idea where the $850 million for mental health services that Bill de Blasio's wife misplaced is. Selective prosecution. Now, see, I don't disagree with that. Selective prosecution. That is to say, I think they got evidence on the guy and he was doing something. But it's a question of show me the man and I'll show you the crime. Is Eric Adams guilty of something? I mean, look, the terrifying thing is what's the old saying? You commit 3 felonies a day or some ridiculous nonsense. They can make it look like you did something and just say you did and then accuse you of it. And the feds only go after people when they know they're going to get that conviction. But hold on there a minute. So we've got this narrative that Mayor Eric Adams is in New York, big city Democrat, being like, listen here, Joe Biden, we don't like none of this mass migration. You're overwhelming our shelter systems. Why would you do that? And then we have this story from the New York Post. We've never paid migrants costs before, so why is Eric Adams doing it now? This is from September 9th. Eric Adams was giving $4,000 to illegal immigrants to permanently settle in New York. What are you doing, huh? Is this defiance? Is this the defiance we think is enough? I mean, look, if this dude was defying Joe Biden's illegal immigration plans while simultaneously giving $4,000 to illegal immigrants to permanently settle in the city, I gotta wonder, what did Biden want? Because I mean, like, how do you get worse than this? Take a look at this. This is from the New York Post editorial board. Mayor Adams must think Gotham needs more illegal immigrants. He's offering up to $4,000 to leave city-funded shelter for permanent housing, which, of course, is more incentive to come here in the first place. No joke. The city's Department of Homeless Services launched a pilot program in December that grants supposed asylum seekers cash to cover the costs of moving out of a shelter into permanent quarters. Already, 150 families have benefited, and the city is looking at scaling up and expanding access to the funds. It means up to $4,000 to cover security deposits, moving expenses, and first and last month's rent, including $1,000 more available via gift cards. Sweet. A city official wasn't to say how much the program would eventually spend. She said assistance is approved on a case-by-case basis. Huh? And all this on top of free shelter, housing, food, healthcare, education, debit cards, and other services illegal migrants already get. Pure madness. No wonder in just 2 years, the city has already blown through a whopping $5 billion on migrants, as much as the entire NYPD spends annually. Yikes. It isn't supposed to work this way. Immigrants who flocked to our shores for centuries have had to make their own way, depending on friends, relatives, for their own grit to survive. Now the city is basically paying migrants who break the law and hop the border to come here, and it's using funds from hardworking New York citizens to do so. Ones who get little help from the city. When was the last time city offered to pay your moving expenses? True. Primary blame for the migrant crisis lies with Biden and border czar Kamala Harris, who sent out La Invitación to rush in, then waved them in at the border. To be fair, she did say, do not come. Do not come. To which, masterfully, someone included a clip of Donald Trump going, I'm going to come. And everyone loves the meme. And make no mistake, Harris will keep up that policy, if not broaden it. She's still pushing that bipartisan border security bill that would create new rights for asylum seekers. And this was part of her stupid interview she did last night, where she's like, we had a border security bill, and it was bipartisan, and Donald Trump said, I want to campaign on that, so kill the bill. And that is just a lie. It is, I can't stand these people, dude. That's just literally not what happened. There was no bipartisan border security bill. There was a bipartisan amnesty bill. For real. These people are illegally entering the country. They're breaking the law. And so Democrats and Republicans came together and said, let's make all of it legal. It's funny. It's like, we have a very high murder rate. How can we get the murder rate down? I know. Declassify certain, remove from the classification of murder certain crimes. Hey, all of a sudden murder is down. No, it's still happening. People are being murdered, but we just don't call that murder anymore. That's what they were doing. The idea was, we've got 5,000, 10,000 illegal immigrants. I know. Let's make half of them legal. Just let them cross the border, get a work permit. Just turn what they're doing from a crime into not a crime. And then Kamala Harris has the gall to lie about it. Man, you know what, though? You get the politicians you deserve, I guess. So maybe Trump will win. Maybe people will stand up and say, we do not want this. But you got a lot of dumb people in this country that, look, Kamala Harris, along with every other Democrat, they were asked in 2019 in the primaries, would you decriminalize border crossings and make it a civil infraction? And they all raised their hands. And this was Kamala Harris's plan, along with Joe Biden, every other Democrat. That border security bill was actually an increase in border personnel to ramp up border crossings and give out permits. So everything that you're seeing right now in these cities, this chaos you're suffering from, in New York with the shelters, in Chicago, where they tried paving over a park and turning it into a migrant camp. Oh, yeah, that would be 10 times worse. They would say they're not illegal. They're legal now. That's what we're seeing with these migrants in places like Springfield, Ohio. They say these are not illegal immigrants. They were brought here legally through temporary protected status. Yeah. Creating a legal pathway for mass migration is still mass migration. People need to come here through our traditional system so we can properly expand the economy, not just flood cities. The problem in Springfield, Ohio is not the claims that people are eating cats. I'm sorry, that's the surface level issue. Of course, you may love cats, and you may say, Tim, you're nuts. They're eating cats. We do have one video of some migrants eating cats, okay? Well, to be fair, grilling them on an old grill. The problem is not the cats. The problem is the failure to assimilate. And so when people are saying, and Chris Rufo did the report on this, that they're skinning and gutting large mammals in the street. Okay, the problem is not that we eat mammals. The problem is failure to assimilate to our culture. If you've got people, okay, who will like capture a deer and gut it in the middle of the street, just totally clueless, and round up cats and eat them. I'm saying if, okay, calm down, corporate press. You see, that's a disruption in the local economy because there's actually, regulations and rules on serving up meat and what you can do. And this is the economy, right? So you go to a farm, the farm's got all the animals and they got rules and regulations and permits and whatnot. Whether you like it or not, they do. They then slaughter the animal, take its products, and they sell them. And there's various restrictions. We abide by those restrictions. We trade. That's the economy. When people come in and create their own parallel economies outside of ours, certainly I can tell you that Parallel Economy as a company is fantastic. Become a member at timcast.com to support our work. When you are not operating within our society and culture, it's going to create economic problems and conflict. And this is the problem with the mass migration BS. And back to the main story, Eric Adams seems to be a big component of it. So you want to play this game where you're like, nah, he was defying Biden. Nah, he's saying that because they're coming after him. But again, show me the man, I'll show you the crime. They say there's no reason for City Hall to add more. Okay, so they say, make no mistake, Harris will keep it the policy, not broaden it. She's pushing that bipartisan border security bill that would create new rights for asylum seekers, but that's no reason for City Hall to add more cash rewards to border jumpers. Start working to stop the flow, at least to New York, Mr. Mayor, and quit trying to manage the endless influx, especially with gimmicks that only make the situation worse. So I don't know. Okay. We got one comment that says New York City is going to run out of cash and run out of taxpayers. The only question is which one will come first. The city elites are not capable of doing elementary math. Nah, I think what will happen is the federal government will just inject stimulus into the city to cover their agenda. They want the mass migration. It's all part of their plan, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, simple version. I am but a humble man who whinges on the internet, but it would appear that with the massive spending we see from Israel, Ukraine, and other areas, you can spend mass money as long as the economy is growing. When the government just prints more money, and that's not the right way to describe it because it's not like they're going to the mint and being like, print up $1 billion. They're literally just creating debt. They're literally going to contractors and saying, we will pay you this amount of money, just make the bombs. And then we got to pay that back because the contractors and the weapons manufacturers are like, payment is due. And the government could default, and that would be very, very bad. So what happens? The Democrats are like, we can do this so long as the economy is expanding. But Americans ain't having no babies. So what do? They open up the border. They bring everybody in. When you see the jobs report, understand this. How do you have an increase in jobs and a decrease in unemployment when you ain't got no people? Therein lies the problem. The Democrat plan is we need to expand the economy. We need more taxpayers. We need more people paying Social Security. Bring them in en masse and give them work permits. And you know what that does? It is the fast track to the end of this nation. We are being bled dry. It is killing the goose that laid the golden egg. You ain't going to get more golden eggs when you cut it open. It needs to make those eggs. And so they're basically, you know what it is? Nah, here's a better example. The goose laid a golden egg. And as the story goes, the farmer was like, wow, there's golden eggs in there. And he cut it open and there ain't nothing inside. And if he just left the goose alone, it would have laid golden eggs. How about that? Instead, what we have right now with the Democrats is I'd call it the goose that laid the golden egg being used to make foie gras. Foie gras, if you don't know, is when they take this tube, stick it down a goose or a duck's throat, pump it full of corn and corn oil, and disease its liver so you get this delicious fatty liver you can spread on your breads and meats or whatever. And so this is the story of how America is the goose that lays the great golden egg. And so long as it's maintained properly and the goose is well fed, we get lots and lots of golden eggs. And the Democrats are like, nah, we need more. So they're jamming a tube down the throat of the goose and pumping it full of corn oil. It is diseasing this country in a country's economy in very negative ways. Now, I know the left is going to scream everything they can. If you oppose migration, it's because you're racist. No, I like migration. I like migrants. I like all the migrants. I want them all to come. I think that, you know, the Italian migrants, they come and they're like, hey, look, we got this thing. It's called pizza, but we're going to make a better pizza. We're going to put sauce and cheese on it. And now you got the best food ever. Everyone agrees. And then we get, if you've ever had pad thai, that's not how they eat pad thai in Thailand. You see, in America, we do fun things. Here's the deal. The migrants that came here, and we love Indian food and we love Thai food. And, Indian, to be fair, the Indian food is actually, I think, British, because the British, you get the point. The point is when the immigrants come here legally through that process, you get real, what I would describe as cultural enrichment. And now people use that phrase negatively because they're just opening up the borders to anybody and you're getting gangs. You're getting a Tren de Aragua, Venezuelan gangs. And I got to tell you, these guys, they're going to show up in Chicago and there's going to be a massive gang war. The one thing I can say, however, that's kind of weird on this one is that these Venezuelan gangs that go to Chicago, they might actually unite the Chicago gangs, which is like a weird thing because you've got a bunch of different gangs in Chicago. All like, this is my territory, that's your territory, stay away. Some are at war, some are not. And then you get Venezuelan gangs, Tren de Aragua. They don't care about turf or treaties. They come in. They do whatever they want. And so now you got Chicago gangbangers being like, yo, these Venezuelans are on our turf selling drugs. You can't do that. And these Chicago gangs, they ain't going to play around. But I wonder, it'll be really funny if I'm not going to name a bunch of the gangs. We'll just leave their honor intact and not mention them. But you get one guy and he's like, yo, a bunch of Venezuelans came onto our turf and they're causing problems. So then they cross over, this one street into a separate gang territory. And they're like, yo, we need to talk to so-and-so, the gang leader. And it's like, look, man, the Venezuelan gangs are taking our territory. We need your help because if once they come and take ours, they're coming for yours. We got to stop them together. It would be really hilarious, in my opinion, if all of the gangs team up and make one mega gang. It's like the Avengers of gangbangers, and then they go after the Venezuelans. Not that it would be good in any way. I suppose the good thing is that if the gangs united, there'd be less gang violence. Sure, whatever. But a gang war between Venezuelans and Chicago gangs is going to be a nightmare for that city. And my point ultimately is this. Democrats don't care one bit. They have opened up the door. They have let them all in. And now you've got gangs and cartels and trafficking and drugs. And a lot of good people. That's true. I mean, they're criminals because they're coming in illegally, and I'm not a fan of that. But what I mean to say is, a lot of people that are coming in literally are just like, I want to work. And it's like, okay, I can respect that you want the American dream and you want to work and you want to raise a family. Now do it legally because don't break our laws and spit in our faces when you do it. That being said, the gangs, they don't care. They get a free pass. So these young guys are coming in. They're in Colorado. They're in Aurora. They're in, where else they got? Colorado Springs, Boulder, Denver. Aurora's where it's really bad. But now we're getting reports that they're coming up to Chicago. So when you take a look at New York City's got these problems too. It's just much less pronounced. And as time goes on, it is going to exacerbate. So my friends, if you ain't paying attention to what's going on, one day you're going to wake up and wonder why it is you're hearing gunshots outside your house. I suppose if you live in Chicago, you're going to be wondering why the gunshots are happening more frequently because you already hear gunshots outside your house. If you live in the country, you hear gunshots outside your house and you don't bat an eye. Isn't that the difference? You know, I go out to West Virginia, right? We come down here, we set up shop. I hear gunshots. I don't even think about it. I don't know. Yeah, the people are shooting guns all the time. You hear bang, bang, bang. I mean, it's deer season or whatever, I think. I don't know. They're hunting. I ain't going to cry about it. But when I'm in New York and I'm living in Brooklyn and I hear gunshots, I'm like, better lay down and, you know, not look out the window because we don't know what that's all about. Same thing is true in Chicago. So New York, Mayor Eric Adams says he's made it better. Well, I don't know. Maybe. I don't live there. I got the F out. And it's sad, really. I remember the first time I went to New York, I'm on a bus and we're pulling in. I don't even remember what bridge we were crossing. I don't even remember how I got in. It must have been, what bridge would I have been crossing? The Brooklyn? No, it doesn't make sense to be on the Brooklyn Bridge. I was coming down south. And so, man, I don't even remember what bridge I crossed. It must have been somewhere more northern. Like, was it the Washington Bridge or something? I just remember the first time I saw New York, I was like, dang, man, this is crazy. I had no idea where I was. And I'm just looking up at all these buildings. And I'm from Chicago, so I'm used to the big city, but it was crazy to see New York for the first time. New York is like 5 Chicagos in one. And they were dreams, man. And a lot of people had them. This was, this is 13 years ago. Yeah, just about 13 years ago. It was the beginning of September 2011 when I went to New York for the first time. I've been a bunch of other places, Seattle, and it was cool. And the dollar pizzas and the coffee shops. I mean, it was a little scuzzy because it's New York. Smells like sour milk in some of these places, but it's gotten so bad. It's just gotten so bad. It breaks my heart to see America's great cities in these dire straits. You know, a buddy of mine just went to Philadelphia, and I moved down south to the Jersey side, just on the other side of Philly. And so we used to we were 10 minutes from Philly. You cross the bridge, and we used to go hang out every so often. And it's great. Cheesesteak, man. Everywhere you go, you got cheesesteak. In New York, you got pizza. You get pizza everywhere, but you got New York pizza. In Philly, you got cheesesteak everywhere, but you got cheesesteak in Philly. And then Chicago, of course, has, I guess, hot dogs. They ain't got hot dogs anywhere else. In the streets of New York, but if you really want the good Maxwell stuff, Maxwell Street Polish and all that stuff, that's Chicago. But my buddy was just in Philly, and he was like, it's crazy. It's disgusting. It's insane how bad it is. And I'm like, for real, man? I go to D.C. periodically. This is why we moved out of the cities. This is bonkers, man. I'm glad to say, and I will state this. I was right. Years ago, I said, I'm getting away from these cities, man. I was in New York. They planted bombs. It was nuts. The riots. I'm like, I'm not going to be in the cities anymore. I moved to the Jersey side. So I moved out of New York because of the protests were getting crazy and there was crime. Prices were too high. Go to the Jersey side. Then they plant bombs. I'm getting away because they planted bombs in Manhattan and in Jersey City. No joke. Literally, it happened. 25th Avenue, a bomb went off. So I go to a little bit further south, still in the New York Metro. Too expensive. And I'm like, it's time to get away from the city. You don't need the city anymore. Things are getting bad here. So I go to South Jersey. The riot, Summer of Love, happened. And I'm like, I'm going somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And we looked at Maine. We looked at upstate New York. We looked at Montana. West Virginia made the most sense. Now I'm looking at, after that, that was largely due to the restrictions that were coming in, COVID and the riots. And so I was just like, I don't want, like when the riots crossed the bridge, there were rumors of the COVID lockdowns. They were going to shut the bridges down in Jersey. And I'm like, I don't want to get trapped on a peninsula with a bunch of crazy people. So we out. We come down here. And now it's kind of crazy because I go to D.C. and what do I see? Tents, homeless people, drug abuse. What are they doing? What are the people who are running this show doing? What are they supposed to be doing? They ain't doing it. And every single one of you watching this knows I can't understand how there are people who right now are actually contemplating voting for Kamala Harris. Do you have amnesia? Have you not looked out your window? Look, I live out in the middle of nowhere. I got away. I said, I don't want to be in these places. Things are falling apart. I drive to DC periodically. We're there a couple times a month, depending. We go to Frederick. We go to Winchester. We go to, we're just outside of Martinsburg as it is. And these places have their problems too. But you go to DC and it's like as soon as you get within the city limits, there's tents everywhere along the highway. And I'm like, that's nuts, man. And just nothing's done about it. Homeless encampments everywhere, drug abuse, crime. Man, that's wild. And they give you this argument where they're like, you won't even notice. Dude, I grew up in Chicago. I know about you wouldn't even notice, right? You do notice, you adapt. And there's a big difference. So what's happened now is people are becoming used to the fact that there's homeless, morbidly obese, and drug addicts sleeping on the streets, and crime is up. In Chicago, my friends are saying it's miserable. This is what is happening to our country under the watch of people like Eric Adams and the Democrats. So when he comes out and says, I pushed back against Biden, it's like, well, you didn't do a good job giving $4,000 to illegal immigrants to permanently settle in the city. How is that doing anything for the people of this city and state or of this country? So when the feds come down on him, I just sit there and laugh. I put my feet up and say, oh, okay, sure, dude. You pushed back real hard, I guess. I don't care. Look, New York is a sad state of affairs. I think there's something strange, to be fair, perhaps. Perhaps the Democrats wanted substantially more than he was offering up and he compromised. But I got to tell you, if the reality is giving $4,000 to illegal immigrants to permanently settle in your city, if that is the compromise, then heaven help us as to what the Democrats actually are planning on doing, that they would indict a guy for not doing more than that. So I'll just say, we'll see. I don't know exactly if I believe this guy. But we got problems, my friends, but we do have optimism. And I want to make sure I bring that up because the next story that I got for you is about the current state of affairs. Pennsylvania County is flipping. Party affiliations leaning Republican. Kamala Harris ain't looking too good. And the race is starting to favor Donald Trump. He ain't going to be perfect. He ain't going to save you from everything. But at least he'll push back more so. And I'll take what I can get. Trump says he's got a bunch of big dreams. I hope he does. Make sure you smash that like button, my friends. Subscribe to this channel. Share this video. If everybody who was watching took that URL, Control-C, and then Control-V on a social media, we'd be the biggest show ever. Sharing is caring. So share the show if you do like it. Once again, smash that like button, and we'll crack 10,000. Let's see if we can do that. You guys pitch in. And become a member at timcast.com to support our work directly. Wild times, dude. I don't know. Absolutely wild times. It's kind of crazy where we're at. Let's read some of your super chats and see what you guys have to say about all this craziness today. And then, of course, we'll jump to this optimistic news where we can, and it's kind of wild for me to say, I don't want to play this partisan game. I've never been a big fan of that. Look, in my career with Donald Trump, it was nearly 10 years where I was like, I ain't getting involved in this political garbage. And now I'm watching the country basically be on fire, and I'm like, you got to do something. Let's read some super chats. We got Cilantro Industrial Complex, my arch nemesis, says, howdy, people. Howdy. The Clayway says, number one, no, sir. Number two, but fight, fight, fight again. That's right. All right. James Dropping House says, interesting. I set the notification for the video and YouTube didn't notify me. Also, the economy is effed. My landlord rents out 5 houses and even he is struggling with bills and taxes. That's the thing about being a landlord that the left just lies about. So let me tell you something, man. Being a landlord is a job and it's a business. And these people are dumb as a box of rocks. These leftists, they're like, landlords don't even do anything. They just own the building. And it's like, these are the same people that when the refrigerator breaks, calls a landlord and says, you are legally required to fix it. Then the landlord has to spend the money from the rent to fix it. And so you take a look at rent rates. So if you want to be a landlord and you want to not actually do anything, then you probably need, I don't know, let's say in the minds of these people, I think in like New York, depending on the property, you might get like $300 to $500 a month revenue off of the property that you're renting out. But revenue don't mean profit because you got to pay taxes. You got to pay for repairs. So basically what happens is if you own a single unit and you rent out, if you own a building and you rent that building out and then rent, some financial experts, and they recommend doing that, actually. There's I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but I watched one guy, and he said that if you buy a house, you're not generating anything off of that. Rent is not money gone. The landlord still has to pay those bills. And so he was saying something like buy a house, rent it out, and then rent a cheaper property and live in to generate cash positive, and then, put that towards owning the house and investing or whatever. But if you actually want to be a landlord where you actually make money, you got to own like 5 to 10 properties. So, I had a house, I rented it out, and I think we brought in like $600 a month in the suburbs of Jersey, and it didn't cover the cost of anything. I was like, at the end of the year, it was like $1,000 profit. And I was like, look, getting to own a house, having your mortgage paid for you, and then getting $1,000 on top, that's a good deal, but you're not living off of it, right? So it's an investment. Now, if you're a landlord and you own 10 properties, well, now you're starting to get somewhere. You own 20 or 30 properties, you're starting to get somewhere even more. And so actually what ends up happening is you've got companies that are owned and operate and rent out a bunch of different units. And this is what these leftists don't understand is that in New York, for instance, your landlord is not some guy. Sometimes it is, don't get me wrong. A guy might own a building and rent out the upstairs unit to you. And often they are companies that own 10 properties and have staff that manage those properties. So being a landlord, you got to maintain and manage these things. Unless you own like 100 properties and now you're actually not doing very much. You've got managers running everything for you. Still, the left likes to oversimplify things. All right. But that being said, it is true. YouTube is not notifying people. So share the video if you can. Subscribe and click the little notification bell if that's still a thing. I don't know. Let's go. Zach Matisse says, Tim, your next flagship product for Cast Brew should be dark chocolate covered coffee beans. You could even mark them as beanies. They're great to snack on whole and have helped my colon. Have they? Thank you for that. We could. We're going to have to look into how to do that. We are working on some Christmas blends, some Christmas coffee. And we've got a really fun one coming up that I think, I'm not going to say it just yet because we got to get it cleared and everything, but it looks fun. Wisco Welder says the factory I work at that has had low sales for most of this year, they told us the purchase orders have significantly dropped and few had big layoffs. All right. Here's why they're ramming as many migrants as possible into this country. Why is Hooters shutting down? Ain't nobody buying chicken wings anymore. They're hoping that by flooding the country with migrants, they'll start going to Hooters. The only problem is you've got stories of migrants grilling cats and slaughtering mammals in the street. You need proper integration. Do the people coming here for work permits, do they actually want to go to Hooters and Pizza Hut? Because if they don't, you are not saving industry. You are just creating slums. Insane, mind you. But I guess they don't know what else to do. All right. Common Sense Fishing says our elections are probably the most important thing facing America. Duplicate ballots, illegals getting registered, billboards in 100% Spanish saying to go vote. If we don't trust outcome, civil war possible. Man, wait, I didn't want to lead with it, but ABC News actually says this could be the closest election since 1876. Do you guys know what the 1876 election was? That's when the Democrats and Republicans were so cross with each other that they said, I think a civil war is about to break out. And they had to negotiate and compromise and signed accords as to who would actually be president instead of just going with the vote. Could you imagine? Could you imagine this? Republicans win. Blue states lose their minds. The blue states then say, we'll cut a deal with you. We drop all prosecution of Donald Trump. We let him go and be with his family. We drop the weaponization. Democrats get the presidency. That could be where this ends up. We'll go over that in a second, though. This is crazy stuff. Let's grab a couple more here. Nicosia says, my brother was fired due to refusing the jab. Whichever way Adams goes down will be celebrated. FYI, if Jumaane Williams steps in as mayor, may God help us. Advocates for defunding the police, but lives in New York City's only military base. He lives on. Where is that one, huh? That's not Dumbo? I don't know. All right, let's grab just one more before we jump to this next story. What do we have here? Dylan Davis says, longtime Timcast sub, worked with a nonprofit in Central America for clean water. People in the community had to help fund it so they would take care of it. Same should be for immigration here. Indeed. Ben says Chicago gangs combining against migrant gangs should be referred to as the MAGA gang or the mega gang. I don't know. The gang Avengers. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we got some big news. We got some good news. We got good news for those that like Donald Trump. Key Pennsylvania county flips to majority GOP for registered voters. This is huge. This is Luzerne County. They say there are now more Republicans registered to vote in Luzerne than there are Democrats. It's fantastic news, and we have a lot of great signs for Donald Trump. I'm not sure if I have all this stuff pulled up. No, but we can show this from Gallup. Asked of independents, as of today, Do you lean more to the Democratic Party or the Republican Party? And in the latest, check this out, it's a flip. Now, it's gone back and forth a little bit. In August, 46% said Republican, 49% said Democrat. Not so good, huh? However, as of September, 50% said Republican and 45% said Democrat. So there we go. I don't know what other pages there are. This goes way back. You go way back. Look at this. It's usually favoring Democrats. If you go, let's go back to 2012. Let's go to 2016. This time, 2016. What do we have here? It was 42 to 48. And let's take a look at the election. When Hillary Clinton won, it was 43 to Republican, 48 Democrat. Independents favored the Democratic Party. Let's go up to 2020 November and take a look at what we saw. November, it was 45 Republican to 48 Democrat. Now, November don't matter so much. Let's go to September to see how the trends continued. It was in September, 44 Republican, 47 Democrat in 2020. And in 2016, in September, so I'm comparing it to like now, it was 44 to 49. The fact that as of right now, in September, it is favoring Republicans is largely indicative of a Donald Trump victory. But don't count all your chickens before they hatch, my friends. You best get out there and do the work. Lord help us if you kick back in your recliner right now and say, we got it in the bag. The polls are on our side. Yeah, you better not. But my friends, while we're learning the crazy news that Luzerne County has flipped red with the GOP taking voter registration lead, we're hearing about how Republicans are doing a tremendous job registering new voters. We got this. Republicans scrutinizing automatic voter registration in Pennsylvania. Republicans are stepping up scrutiny of their system for registering people to vote through its driver's licensing centers. You see, Democrats are just like, we're going to automatically register everybody. And they're hoping that that will skew Democrat. Now, there is still some good news here. Despite the fact that it seems like they're doing this to counteract Republican ground game, we've got a lot of reporting that new voters are leaning Republican as it is, and Democrats were trying to curtail voter registration. In fact, it may be that the reason Republicans are taking over is because people are getting automatically registered and they lean in Republican. So we'll see. But where do we go from here? Well, I got bad news for y'all. ABC News says this could be the closest presidential election since 1876. But a normal polling error could also result in one candidate winning easily. I think they're all lying. I don't think they want to admit that Donald Trump has a commanding lead. Now, I can tell you why, but let me throw it to our good friend, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit. He says, oh, my God, Harris is down in the Marist poll, which has overstated Democrat support in darn near every swing state over the last two presidential cycles. It may be every state, in fact. Marist has Arizona up Trump. Georgia, Trump is up. North Carolina is a tie. That means Donald Trump's taking the lead. Let's take a look at top battleground states. As of right now, in aggregate, Donald Trump is leading the battlegrounds by 0.1. But how much does that really matter? If he wins Georgia and Arizona, is that going to be enough? Well, Trump's got to win a little bit more than that. Here's the deal. This is the aggregate. And as I've mentioned every single day, we've gone over the election. The bias in favor of Democrats in 2016 and 2020 was between 3 and 5 nationally and 4 to 7 in swing states. And I say this every time. As of this date in 2020, Joe Biden was up 7. Right now, Harris is up 2. The reality, Biden ended up clearing around 3. He was up 7. He ended up about 3. And that was with the shadow campaign. How can Kamala Harris possibly win with this flood of pro-Trump support? If the bias in swing states actually, so nationally, she should be down on a conservative estimate, down 1 point. Trump is up 1. If we say the bias was 3, we could say the bias is 5. And then Trump's up 3 points. But I don't know that Trump wins the national popular vote. In fact, I don't even know that Trump wins because we don't know the policy and procedure game they're going to be playing behind the scenes, aka shadow campaign. But as of right now, shockingly, it appears that Trump is winning the argument. In the states where it really matters, the battlegrounds, Trump is up. When you look at, let me do this. I got 270 to win. Let's go. So we're going to look at the 2020 presidential election map. This is based on polling right now, and there are toss-ups. So it can go either way. Let's play this game. Let's pull up the battlegrounds. And then I do want to make sure we get to the, it's a civil war that's coming, 1876. That's what the ABC is trying to imply. Haha, I'm half kidding. Let's start with Arizona. Arizona goes Trump. Then we've got Nevada going Harris. I'm taking their estimates, right? I'm taking their straight numbers. We're going to base it right off whatever they're saying. She got Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. That's bad news. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. I'll go Harris. She won. I don't even need to look at Georgia and North Carolina. We can say let's go for Trump. It don't matter. Excuse me. Trump only gets a 262 electoral votes to Kamala Harris's 276. Let's play a game. Let's play a game. Let's say the 4-7 bias is persistent, meaning Trump is up in all of the swing states. Dude, I don't even need to show you 270 to win. If Trump is winning every single swing state, it's over. Kamala Harris might as well just resign now. That's 312 Donald Trump to 226 Democrats. Again, we don't know for sure. Now, I think there's where's the make your own map stupid thing? They got a, how do you do that? President, come on, give me the, they've got the make your own map or whatever. I don't know, whatever. That's what we're looking at right now. Show third party. That's completely irrelevant. Right now, considering the bias and considering that Trump is leading in aggregate, it is looking like Trump is going to win. We've got this from 538. However, they say that out of 1,000 simulations, there are 4 ties. And Nebraska is trying to pass a law that would make it so that they don't split their electoral votes anymore. Winner take all. Should that happen, things get really interesting. If Nebraska goes winner take all, that's one big flip. You then start entertaining scenarios where Kamala Harris could actually end up, if she wins, take a look at this. If Trump takes Nevada and Arizona and Nebraska goes winner take all, he gets Georgia and North Carolina, and then Kamala gets the Rust Belt, it's a tie. And then you get President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. Sure. I mean, maybe, I guess. That seems absolutely wild. All right, so here's what we got from ABC News. As an aside to breaking news, Eric Adams charged with accepting improper campaign contributions. That's, I think, what we all expected. ABC News says this could be the closest presidential election since 1876. According to 538's latest election forecast, Vice President Kamala Harris has a 57 in 100 chance of winning the presidential election in November, while former President Trump has a 42 in 100 chance. This means the race is essentially a toss-up. They say blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about 1876. Why are you bringing that one up? They say, for example, if you assume the forecast will be exactly correct and assign all states and congressional districts to the candidate who currently leads in them, then you move Nevada just 0.8 percentage points towards Trump. Harris would win 270 electoral votes and Trump would win 268. That would be the smallest electoral vote margin in a presidential election since 1876, when Republican Rutherford B. Hayes beat Samuel J. Tilden by 1 vote. No, he didn't, and I'll elaborate. I mean, technically, he did. Now, imagine Nebraska goes winner take all, meaning it turns that one district red. You get a tie. How about that? If those past elections are any guide, that could be a recipe for chaos in the weeks after Election Day. They say in 1876, the election results was disputed until just days before Inauguration Day, as some states sent conflicting sets of returns to Congress. In 2000, there were protests. In 1876, there were threats of violence. Here in 2024, it's possible the losing candidate in such a tight race could contest the election in one or more states, which could in turn cause unrest among voters. Trump, for instance, has already called the veracity of mail-in ballots into question. The Republicans have begun suing state governments over registration processes that they allege will let non-citizens vote in the election. And Trump has previously declined to rule out political violence from his supporters if he doesn't believe the election is fair. That is insane, ABC News. You people are evil. Evil indeed. We got viral videos right now where they got this dude, he's going door to door and he's asking people, are you a citizen? They're like, no. He's like, are you registered to vote? Like, oh, yes, of course. He's like, who are you voting for? Oh, Kamala. And these are just, it's individual basis. And they make the argument every time they say, look, it's just one person. You have no standing. You have found evidence of non-citizens who intend to vote, who are registered to vote, but it wouldn't change the outcome, right? How do you adjudicate claims against 50,000 people in an election. Maybe it's designed that way on purpose. Let's talk, my friends, about what that means, that we could be looking at an 1876 election. Ah, yes, good old Wikipedia. The 1876 U.S. election was the 23rd quadrennial presidential election, held Tuesday, November 7th, 1876. Following President Grant's decision to retire after a second term, U.S. Rep. James G. Blaine emerged as a frontrunner for the Republican nomination. However, Blaine was unable to win a majority at the Republican National Convention, which settled on Governor Hayes of Ohio as a compromise candidate. The election was among the most contentious in American history and was only resolved with a compromise of 1877, where Hayes agreed to end Reconstruction in exchange for recognition of his presidency. Heavens me. A committee got together and decided who the president was going to be by negotiation. Now, ain't that something? Tilden won 184 electoral votes to Hayes' 165 in the first count, with the 20 votes for Florida, Louisiana, South Carolina, Oregon disputed. To address this constitutional crisis, Congress established the Electoral Commission, which awarded all 21 votes and thus the presidency to Hayes in a strict party line vote. Some Democratic reps filibustered the commission's decision, hoping to prevent Hayes' inauguration, but their filibuster was ultimately ended by party leader Samuel J. Randall. In fact, my friends, there was deep fear that a second civil war or that the Civil War would re-erupt if they did not have this compromise. Now, maybe, but when you look at the state breakdown, it is largely Southern, but you did have a break. South Carolina, Florida, and Louisiana were going Republican. And New York and Connecticut, New Jersey actually went Democrat. So it wasn't the same dividing lines, but there was fear. And so it ultimately ended up happening. They said, we'll let you be president if you end Reconstruction, which returned a lot of autonomy to Southern states post-Civil War. They say the Compromise of 1877 was also known as the Wormley Agreement, the Bargain of 1877, or the Corrupt Bargain. Look at that. They call it the Corrupt Bargain. Was an unwritten political deal in the U.S. to settle the intense dispute over the 1876 election, ending the filibuster of the certified results and the threat of political violence in exchange for an end to federal reconstruction. No written evidence of such a deal exists, and its precise details are a matter of historical debate. But most historians agree that the federal government adopted a policy of leniency towards the South to ensure federal authority and Rutherford B. Hayes' election as president. The existence of an informal agreement to secure his authority, known as the Bargain of 1877, was long accepted as part of American history. Its supposed terms were reviewed by historian C. Van Woodward in the 1951 book, Reunion and Reaction, the Compromise of 1877 and the End of Reconstruction. Under the Compromise, Democrats controlling the House of Representatives allowed the decision of the Electoral Commission to take effect, securing political legitimacy for Hayes' legal authority as president. The subsequent withdrawal of the last federal troops from the southern United States effectively ended the Reconstruction era and forfeited the Republican claims to the state governments in South Carolina, Florida, and Louisiana. The outgoing president, Republican Ulysses S. Grant, removed the soldiers from Florida. And as president, Hayes removed the remaining troops from South Carolina and Louisiana. As soon as the troops left, many white Republicans also left, and the Redeemer Democrats, who also dominated other state governments in the South, took control. Some black Republicans felt betrayed as they lost their political legitimacy in the South that had been defended by the federal military. And by 1905, most black people were effectively disenfranchised in every southern state. All this because they feared that we could devolve into another civil war. So how about that one, huh? When they go on to say this may be like 1876, they're trying not to say it. And they say, oh, Tim Civil War pool. Hey, man, take a look at ABC News and what they're saying. The signaling and the messaging is clear to all who have eyes to see. You take a look at how they're laying things out and what we can expect, and it's quite worrying. We do got an update on Eric Adams' indictment, campaign contribution scandal. We'll come back to that later. We'll finish out this segment. No, we don't want to read that. We're trying to read about this. CNBC says Kamala Harris likely to win election despite Trump being better on inflation and economy. CNBC CFO survey. I'd like to entertain these because I got to be honest, my friends. We look at the polling data and it ain't good for Kamala Harris. It's looking like Donald Trump is actually going to be the winner here, but we don't know for sure. And there's two minds about it, right? They come out in the press and when you ask people, Trump is the winner, Trump is winning the argument. but is Trump winning procedurally? The deep state may just play that game. They go in the corporate press and they say, everything's for Kamala. That way, when their shadow campaign puts Kamala in office, they'll say, look, we told you the polls favored her. That's why they were so shocked when Trump won. Hillary Clinton in every forecast model had a greater than 99% chance of winning. There's no way Donald Trump can win, they said. These people were so blind. These psychotic individuals. You know, I'll tell you about this phenomenon. Jack Dorsey is a really great example of it. You know, Jack, he's a guy who started Twitter. Remember Twitter? It's called X now. Jack Dorsey says, we're going to be the free speech wing of the free speech party. Good for you, dude. And for a long time, you could go on Twitter and say darn near anything. But then one day, he flips on a dime. Now he's like, you can't call, if a man wants to be a woman, if a man wants to be a woman, you have to say that that man is a woman. Otherwise, you're banned. And that was the rule change. It's kind of weird. It's like, hold on there, dude. Like, conservatives think misgendering is when there's a guy who wants to be called a gal. And if you call the guy a gal, you're misgendering the person, right? Because he's a guy. Democrats flip it. If a guy says, I want to be a gal, it's misgendering to not call him a gal. That's two worldviews, right? They're distinct. Here's what happened. Jack Dorsey created this machine. And then through a series of algorithmic decisions, less so because X wasn't very, I don't think they were heavily dependent on algorithms for the most part, but I do think that they still had search algorithms and things like this. But because of the way they moderated against things they deemed to be not advertiser friendly, they created a skew towards woke left ideology. That is to say, a man who once was relatively libertarian, a libertarian tech bro, not like Big L, but more libertarian leaning and believed in free speech, created a giant toilet that everyone could take a dump in, and then he took the piping from it and jammed down his own throat. He began gargling the refuse of the crackpot nonsense that he promoted on his own platform, and then it rotted his brain, and he believed it. Mark Zuckerberg's not coming out saying he's a libertarian. Okay, dude. Let's see you unban everybody, and then I'll believe you. Lies. But we'll get into that next. Jack Dorsey hooked the tubing into his own throat. Zuckerberg's always been kind of a douchebag. You know, hey, it is what it is. Jack Dorsey, maybe, but he started to believe this stuff. And I'm sitting there with him and Vijay got on the Joe Rogan podcast. And I'm like, misgendering is a great example. And he's like, oh, what? I'm like, your rules are biased. Your rules favor a leftist worldview. Do you not understand? Do you not have Google? Have you not ever talked to anybody else? No. He was pumping it straight. He's an IV right from a toilet, right into his veins. And it was just sitting there, and he had human waste in his brain. He couldn't think properly. He could not fathom that other people in this country saw things differently. And that's what we're seeing right now with the corporate press. I'm hoping this is the case as it pertains to polling for Kamala Harris, why they overestimated Hillary Clinton's chance of winning, because the media sit around in a big circle staring at each other like a circle of jerks patting each other on the back. We keep it family friendly here. And then they all believe each other. Do you guys remember the stories, the scandals about the journalists? So we all know what a journalist is, right? But there was a journo-list. I'm well aware of this scandal because I was on some of them. That's right. It was a big scandal where people found out that journalists and writers from a bunch of different companies were part of online forums where they all talked about the same things. And people started to say, hey, how come every single news outlet wrote the exact same story in the exact same way? Now, some people said it's a government conspiracy. The CIA is coming. And well, maybe. But the reality was most of the journalists are in New York. They all go out for drinks together. They all know each other. It's an incestuous relationship. You work at one company, you go work at another company. I remember sitting down in New York at a bar in an outdoor seating area in the back with like 10 journalists, all from different companies, all hanging out. I was working for Vice at the time. And they were working for, Gawker Network brands and whatever, and all these different outlets, and they all talked about the same thing. There were a variety of lists that journalists would be a part of. And so what happens is when it comes to 2016, these lists still very much exist. And to this day, they still do, of course. And all of the journalists are writing, look, Hillary's winning. Another journalist sees Hillary's winning, so he writes Hillary's winning. The only thing they can see is this insular bubble where they can't actually see what other people think. That has never changed. Hence, the bias in 2016 and 2020 against Donald Trump. If you go to a liberal newsroom and you ask, did Donald Trump call neo-Nazis fine people? They all say yes. I guarantee it. The average newsroom, they're going to say, yes, he did. And the best part is, if you say no, he said they should be condemned totally, they'll give you some convoluted reason why actually he did. Because they can't see outside bubble world. And I'm hoping for it. And I hope you are too. Because that would mean that Donald Trump is leading and that we may actually get some, results. I wonder what a Donald Trump presidency would look like if he is unshackled. He made a lot of mistakes in his first term. There's probably, my personal preference would have been a Dave Smith presidency. I wonder what that must be like to be Dave Smith, knowing that you've got a bunch of people being like, Dave should have been president. I disagree with Dave on certain things, but I trust him as a real human being to actually manage things properly, as the American people would probably prefer it. However, Donald Trump is the best president of my lifetime. No new wars, withdrawing from these foreign conflicts, negotiating peace agreements. I have tremendous respect, and I am grateful that we had that opportunity. I wonder what a Trump presidency would look like were he to be unshackled. Would be amazing, I think. But who knows? Who knows? Perhaps I'm wrong, my friends, but it's looking pretty good for Donald Trump. Luzerne County flipping is a big deal. This is Pennsylvania. This is the Keystone State, the state that must be won to win. If Kamala Harris does not win in Pennsylvania, they say that her chance of winning the election drops to 4%. So we'll see. I don't think it's funny that they're looking at the polls. They're saying, look, Kamala Harris is ahead. And it's like, you guys do know that, like, your polls have been wrong for the past two major presidential elections, right? Secret Trump voters or media manipulation, you decide. I'll wrap it up there. Next segment is coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. My friends, smash that button, that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with each and every one of your friends. Tell them Timcast is the best show. Everyone agrees. At least that's what I've been told. And head over to timcast.com, click join us. Also, in light of what I've been talking about with these cities, we have a song coming out, Coming Home. If you go to Timcast Music if you search for Timcast Music on YouTube, you can see the promo for it, Coming Home featuring Phil Labonte. GetComingHome.com, but you need iTunes installed to pre-order it. And that will officially launch tonight at midnight. I believe tonight at midnight we're dropping the song. I don't know if it's the smartest time to do it, but that's when we're doing it. And so all y'all can buy the song at Get Coming Home. And they play dirty games with us to try and make sure that we can't hit those charts. So you've got to buy it on iTunes. I'm sure Apple loves the fact that iTunes still sells music. But I'll say one more thing, too, with this. If these mainstream artists, Taylor Swift, if they could sell music, they would. They struggle to do so. So let's send a message. All right, everybody. Next segment will be coming up at 4. For everybody else, we'll go to Super Chats. Thanks for hanging out. All right, let's grab your Super Chats, my friends. Also, how many of you noticed that cool little bar? You see the bar right alongside the left? We updated the graphic, and now there is a divider. Look at that, huh? Fancy. Took 3 minutes to do, I think. All right, let's go. Let's see. Rusty Shackelford says, Tim, Hillary was right. These migrants created happy gangs to enforce laws. Is that what she was saying? That's what her plan was? All right, we'll grab some Super Chats. And what have we here? Soapy Enigma says, I need some booby boards still sold out. Yeah, what's up with that? Let me pull this one up. We'll get ready for the next one. Well, Mark Zuckerberg, look at him. All right, my friends, we've got this. The Boonies website, boonieshq.com is available. And let's go to the store and see what's going on over here. We're sold out of everything. Oh, man. Oh, thank you guys so much for buying our skateboards. Taylor Silverman. The Tim Pool board sold out. I think we actually have a lot of Taylor boards. Is probably why we didn't sell out. Because I think she probably sells more than we do. I think that was like what our concern was. Two things. I think it was, I didn't even know we had the boobies boards. Apparently, I don't know if they didn't put the print up or we only had a couple of them. But that might be like my favorite board graphic, actually. The boobies. I want to skate that one. I'm gonna demand that they send me one of those. We've got huge stacks of these boards. Tim Pool boards are now sold out. Oh, man, the Rister board. I think what we're thinking of the next Tim Pool board graphic is going to be either the 28th Amendment or Stand Your Ground. Stand Your Ground is a graphic we made where it's based off the Gadsden flag. It's a rooster raising his wings, and it just says Stand Your Ground. And the references, for those that are not familiar, the Gadsden flag is a reference to the rattlesnake that says, don't tread on me. If you step on it, it will bite and kill you. And that was the idea, like, just leave me alone and back away and let me do my thing. So inspired by this, we jokingly made Step on Sneck and Find Out because there was that meme, no step on Sneck. And so then we combine that with Efron and Find Out to make Step on Sneck and Find Out. And there's a cute little angry snake. But we also made a flag for sale on our store, which is the rooster standing tall. Why? My friends, do you know of the noble rooster? Anybody with chickens knows this. The noble rooster has more gumption and courage than many men, especially Democrats. I'm insulting you, Democrats. Okay, I take that back. That's mean. But certainly there are a lot of people who are cowards, both Democrat and Republican. Roosters are famous, are well known for charging into battle knowing they will die to save their girls. That's how much they care about their ladies. They can be a bit abusive, though. But as it goes, ask anybody who owns chickens, look up the stories online, and you will find many where the rooster charges at a fox or a raccoon so that the girl, and while screaming, and the girls run, and then he fights the animal and is killed in the process and dragged off. You see, roosters, they mill about, they take what they want from their girls, if you know what I mean. Yikes. But they're roosters, they ain't human. The girls run around eating, lay eggs, and make babies. And the boys seemingly just march around and yell all day, right? But when danger strikes, typically roosters will knowingly run to their deaths to give a chance to their girls to escape. And I think that's pretty amazing. There are many men of great virtue, human beings that we honor and respect, men and women in uniform, police, first responders, firefighters, EMTs. They run towards the danger. And that's why we respect it, because the rest of us run away from it. And they are like the noble rooster. So that's why we got Roberto Jr. on my board, because we respect the noble rooster. But we're going to have a new graphic update where we think it will probably be. And for those that don't know, the 28th Amendment is the gag where it is a goofy looking little triangle rooster. And it says, chickens being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep, bear, and breed chickens shall not be infringed. So we might have that as one of our boards. But we're selling out of everything. And you know what, too? Like I keep telling everybody, we got to. I told the team, like, hey, they need to have more prints available. Just like get a bunch, because we basically is sold out of everything. We can't have that. We got to sell more boards. Skateboards, they're great wall pieces. I thank you all especially for buying the Mr. Bocus Pro model. He's a cat, so he's not actually good at skateboarding in any right, and he also passed away. But we will always have the Mr. Bocus board in his memory. And that is an actual picture of Mr. Bocus that was converted into art, and it was drawn of him as he was sleeping. So rest in peace, Mr. Bocus. Your pro model shall live on forever. We'll grab a couple more. And Dystopia Enigma saying they want the booby boards. I got to tell them, like, dude, we need like 500 of the booby boards. We must have the boobies. That's a booby is a bird. For those that are like, why are you saying boobies, dude? It's a bird. It's got little blue feet. And they're funny. They're called boobies. All right, let me grab some of my delicious sparkling water real quick. Raspberry lime today. All right. Wait, not done. There we go. All right. Frost says, hey, Tim, hope you guys get to see the Trump rally in Butler, PA. Also, make sure you grab some Primanti sandwiches, best in the state. Ooh, that sounds fun. It's going to be real tough. This October rally is going to be so insane. The only way I'd be able to go there is if I had some kind of like backdoor access or whatever, because we're not going to be able to handle security for our team, for me, at a rally like that. Trump's going to have massive security. I don't know that I can just bring my car in and park in the festival and then like walk around. You know, like, for those that don't know, I ain't got no worries about no Trump supporters. I know that if I go to a Trump rally, it's going to be handshakes all day. That's great. But there's going to be some crackpot. Like we had the dude show up on our property threatening people. And like, as I'm told, I'm saying being very careful for legal reasons. One of our employees says that they were brutally attacked. And so for that reason, it'll be tough. It'll be tough. Grease Monkey says Elon tweeted he may buy InfoWars. Did he really? Because if that's true, that's the news. That's the next story we're doing. Let's pull this up. 200 million followers. Look at that. Where did he say he may buy InfoWars? Was that the other day? Sam Altman is Littlefinger? I don't, the Doge father. Elon Musk is the funniest billionaire. You call me the Doge father. Yeah, dude. You know why I like Elon Musk? Because I say this quite a bit. We We don't have enough people of eccentricity. You know, everybody I know is so gosh darn serious. They're wealthy and they ain't doing nothing. I don't, however, see the post from Elon where he's saying he may purchase InfoWars. I do not see it. Where is it? Maybe it was it was probably a parody. I don't know that he did. Unless I just didn't see it. I follow Elon. Pay close attention to his work. I'm a big fan of Elon Musk, my friends. I really, really am. And I've been for a long time. I think SpaceX is the most important human endeavor that we have right now. And Elon Musk, outside of everything, defending free speech. Someone said it was parody. Yeah, it was a parody post. Buying X and creating a platform and let's just say increasing our capabilities of speech. It's not perfect. Some people are still banned. Was tremendous and a major benefit to this society. And I respect it. But SpaceX is the most important human endeavor ever. And I don't care about anything else. Politics, in my opinion, important. If we can't get the resources, if we go to war, we ain't getting to Mars. But Elon Musk's Mars plan may be the most significant and important thing humanity is currently doing. Mars colonization with sustainable biospheres and habitability preserves humanity. It is the next step to making sure that humanity cannot go extinct. So if you adhere to the Lord's will of be fruitful and multiply, what Elon Musk is doing is one of the greatest bits of security in ensuring that humans can be fruitful and multiply, even in the face of environmental catastrophe, world war, or otherwise. If we can get an established self-sustaining colony on Mars, that would be tremendous. I'm hoping. But there's a lot of tremendous work. And it defies our current capabilities. It does. But I think we can pull it off. So apparently he's saying that they're going to send an unmanned mission, supplies. This is what Ian was talking about last night. Should it succeed, a manned mission will follow. And it's going to be brutal for those pioneers who do it. They will be heroes among men. Imagine this. Not everybody is for it. But to those who have the opportunity to be the first to inhabit Mars for the rest of your lives, there will be statues built in your honor. The pioneers of interplanetary colonization. It is a dream come true for so many people. But I dream of this. And so Elon Musk's work is the most important thing humanity is currently working on, in my opinion. That's just me, though. That's just my focus and what I care about. Winston Alexander said Mark Cuban on CNBC this morning said that mainstream media actually leans right, then proceeds to bash Trump. This dude really don't get it. He really don't. Blaga19 says, interesting, Tim won't acknowledge his own bubble. And good sir, which bubble is that? Indeed, I question this. You see, on X, take a look at who I follow. And you will see a mix of corporate press journalists, left-wing activists and lawyers, as well as right-wing individuals. I like what Steve Bannon had to say. Steve Bannon says, watch MSNBC so you know what they're planning and you know what they're doing. I make it a point to follow liberals and leftists. And, I follow Hassan. I'm watching what Hassan has to say all the time. The fascinating thing is, I certainly recognize there's no way to not be in some kind of bubble. However, the function of my work is that I must try to perceive into other spheres as often as I can. Notably, there are many bubbles outside of news and politics. Magic the Gathering, for instance, skateboarding, poker, and otherwise. Pay a little bit of attention to other action sports and other things that are going on. And we have a show called Pop Culture Crisis. So we are constantly here looking at a variety of ideas and subcultures and worlds. But, I don't know what's going on in the cricket sphere or rugby. I couldn't tell you. People come and watch football, and I'm like, I got no idea. And so certainly you are in those bubbles. The NFL bubble has a different perspective on the Taylor Swift thing than the rest of us. Pop Culture Crisis, well, they probably know exactly what's going on. All right. Let's look at some more Super Chats. What is this? What's her name says, will new boards be ready soon? My daughter wants a Bocus board for Christmas. I can't believe that we're sold out of Bocus boards too. Man, I gotta, let me double check real quick. I apologize for selling out. 775 is a better size for someone who's young. 825 and 85 are pretty standard boards, but it really depends. Smaller people typically use smaller boards. But I rode 8.5 for the longest time. I switched back to an 8-inch board as it is more versatile on flat ground with ledges. I started riding 8.5 when I was doing stairs. That means like jumping off buildings, basically. And I just always did. Now that I'm a bit older, I have no intention of jumping off stairs anymore. Although I do a little bit. I mean, whatever. I got a photo on Instagram. Let me show you guys a photo. Incentive, we call it, for buying product. And I took this photo specifically because, there you go, because they were claiming that my ollieing over a garbage can was AI. So this is probably, how tall is that? You can actually just, here's what you do. Google search how tall the JBL party box is, and then you'll know how high that ollie was. But I have pretty good flat ground ollies, especially for someone my age, 38. I actually have never, I can ollie higher than I've ever ollied. I don't know. I feel like some people just stop working out, get weak, and then are like, when you're old, you can't do these things anymore. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, there's 44-year-old pros who are still doing epic things. But anyway, I'm going to tell my team right now to make sure we get these boards up. And let me send that message in right now. I knew this was going to happen. And I was telling everybody, guys, we need a larger, I don't know. It's just frustrating because I knew, especially Step on Snack was going to sell out instantly, and we needed like 1,000 boards. We are sold out of almost all boards. Boars. So I'm going to send that message now, but we'll get on top of that. We should be able to restock much of it soon. However, if you become a member at Boonies HQ, do this. Let's see. What's her name? If you become a member at boonieshq.com, it's $10 a month. The first 100 will get a board. Send an email and a message. So you sign up for Boonies HQ, you join the Discord, send a message to one of our crew that we're going to get you that Bocus board. We're going to make sure you get a Bocus board. Include your username and mention that you requested on Super Chat on the Tim Pool Daily Show the Bocus board, and we will make sure you get one. We have early graphic. We'll call them alpha. The first print as we were trying out boards, we switched companies. We have many of them, and we're going to be giving away 100 boards to the first 100 members. You'll get that free board. And so I will try to make sure if you join and you get into the Discord, it's cheaper than the cost of a board, $10 to be a member, and then we'll make sure you get that board for your daughter for Christmas. I will do my best, and I'm going to go to the team and I'm going to say, get it done. Stuart Vatsberger says, my wife hates that I make everything in life a joke. I've been to war a few times and have intimate knowledge on when things become serious. So far here stateside, well, I hope she never does. John Marafa says, you need a milquetoast fence sitter board, a caricature of you standing on a fence with a carton of milk in one and a slice of toast in the other. For those that don't know, milquetoast was a reference to a character in an old comic. Milk and toast was considered to be a bland and boring breakfast. And so this milquetoast character was called that because it was bland and boring. He was not of strong opinion. And that's the point. That being said, the milquetoast fence sitter meme was a comment on this YouTube channel something like 7 or 8, I think, or like 6 years ago. And that's all it was. But I saw it. I appreciate it. I think I pinned it and then said they call me the milquetoast fence sitter. And I absolutely ran with it because you are allowed to make fun of me. One of my favorite memes ever, there's a couple. One of them is me in a blimp basket, but my head is massive. So like the hot air balloon, my brain is the hot air balloon with a little tiny beanie on top, and I'm floating through the sky. And I'm like, it's like a Wojak meme, and I'm like, that's pretty good. That's someone made that. It's like my brain is massive and it's floating through the sky, which implies that it's a vacuum, so it's lighter than air. Very funny. Big head with nothing in it. I like that one. And then I also really like the one where I'm morbidly obese on Fox News and like I'm just really fat with a big beard and it's like, ugh. And they make me fatter and redder every time. Just keep making it bigger. Those are good. Those are very funny. We have sense of humors over here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to call out the hypocrisy from the post-millennial. Mark Zuckerberg identifies as libertarian, hires Republican strategist. Zuckerberg has reportedly hired a Republican strategist, Brian Baker, to help mend his relationship with the right. All right, Zuck, I got a plan for you. First of all, anybody watching this show who knows Zuck, send him this clip Because here's my proposal. A lot of people, they saying, Mark, we offer you no solace. We will not welcome you into the fold. They say you are a bad man. I reject this premise. I don't know a whole lot about the intentions or the worldviews of Mr. Zuckerberg. What I do know is that he is a deeply powerful individual who can move mountains. And for this, I say, good sir, if you want to publicly identify as a libertarian, I welcome you to do so. Anything you do that benefits liberty side politics is a good thing. If his intentions are bad, at least he's convincing people to embrace and explore libertarian values. And I mean little, not big L. The Libertarian Party is weird. That being said, you can start by removing the censorship from my Facebook accounts. Why is it that we constantly have problems on Instagram and Facebook, and I am called a milquetoast fence sitter? Even right now, people are like, Tip, you're a milquetoast fence. Oh, yeah, well, apparently I'm so milquetoast, Facebook censors half the things we do. Mark, your platform is the second most censorious platform. Meta platforms are minefields that people typically are worried about posting on. Right now, we're talking about elections, and your platform allows partisan third-party factions to come in and lie and derank and downrank our content. I'll tell you this. In 2020, I made a video. My original podcast at youtube.com/Timcast, which was just a half an hour long, plus, the extra segments. I said something like, Republicans send slate of electors to D.C., something like that. And it immediately got flagged on Facebook by third parties as fake news. And I was like, what? Everything I said in this is completely factually true. And I'm using all these NewsGuard certified sources. And so I reach out to the company that claimed as a third party that I was pushing fake news. And I said, what in this is incorrect? And they said, the Republican electors that were sent aren't real electors. And I said, and they were like, well, you claimed Republicans sent electors. I'm like, they did? And they're like, yeah, but they weren't real. And I was like, did I say they were real? And they're like, no. Did you watch the video where in the first 10 seconds, I literally say Republicans have sent a non-certified slate to DC? And they went, you did? And I was like, yeah, but did you actually watch the video? And they're like, we didn't actually. We just flagged it, removed it, and demonetized with third-party authority, despite the fact that you were right the whole time. Thanks, Mark. You are mismanaging this platform and you are causing damage. So I welcome you. Good sir. But you gotta fix these problems. If you're in charge and you can change the game, start doing it now. Otherwise, you ain't rehabilitating nothing. Additionally, come join us on the podcast and we'll have a conversation. In an effort to reshape his public image amid political controversies, Zuckerberg has reportedly hired a Republican strategist to help his relationship with the right. Much of the criticism towards Zuckerberg from the right stems from years of censoring and suppressing conservative content, including Facebook's decision to suspend Trump after January 6th. Zuckerberg has reportedly hired Republican strategist Brian Baker, the New York Times reported, to help mend his relationship. Sources who spoke to Zuckerberg recently said the Meta CEO identifies in private more closely with libertarianism or classical liberalism. If that were true, homie would not be censoring all of us. I am not a far-right, pro-life, Wahhabi Catholic, a Shiite Wahhabi Catholic, as Michael Knowles calls Seamus Coughlin. But Seamus is a good friend, and we disagree, and we have conversations, and we share jokes, and we get along just fine. I am a disaffected liberal, post-liberal, fairly moderate individual. And even I face extreme censorship to the point where we don't dare post certain things on Facebook. So you want to claim to me that you're a classical liberal? Nice try, dude. Nice try. You got to walk the walk before you talk the talk. Following the attempt on Trump's life at Butler, Zuckerberg even praised Trump's reaction, saying it was badass. He also reportedly called Trump twice over the summer. Trump claimed that Zuckerberg told him there was no way I can vote for a Democrat. Wow. Trump claims Zuckerberg said, no way I can vote for a Democrat. Though Meta reps have contradicted the statement, Zuckerberg has reportedly not forged a relationship with Kamala Harris. In 2020, they donated $400 million to fund local elections, which is criticized. They call it Zuckerbucks. I'll tell you what I think, my friends. I think Mark Zuckerberg sees the writing on the wall. He knows that Donald Trump is going to win. And when Donald Trump wins, there is going to be a clenched fist coming towards Facebook with regulations and antitrust. Zuckerberg right now is sweating in his boots. I think there's a couple things that sort of break down what's going on with Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg appears before Congress. I'll show you this right here. Take a look at the picture that the Post Mill used of old Zuck. Short hair, not too good of a haircut, kind of pale and pasty. All right. Let's pull up Mark Zuckerberg today. And let's see if we, we got these old photos of him. But he has begun to change. Let's see if we can pull up Mark Zuckerberg in the past month where, come on. Google only wants to show me the old weird ones. Amazing what a beard can do for a man, is it not? I'm going to tell you right now, Mark, you got a little tan, you grew a little facial hair, you let your hair grow out a little bit. 10 out of 10 improvement. It's actually a really great photo of Mark Zuckerberg. I got to say, appreciate and can respect Mark Zuckerberg trying to better himself. I really do mean it. I do mean it. And a lot of people are like, no, I don't want to bring this guy and give him an opportunity. Nah, you know what I think? And I hope Mark hears this too. I doubt that he actually will. I think that Mark saw himself. I think he saw these hearings. He saw these memes. They were calling him a robot. They were calling him weird. And he said, I don't want to be an other. Like, I want to be a person. I want to fit in with people. Like everybody does. Everybody wants that social connection. I think he decided he's going to better himself. Look at this picture of the guy. Come on. You can't tell me that wasn't an improvement. Big improvement. Good for him. Apparently he started working out, exercising. He got a tan. He let his hair grow out. He really started improving himself. I think the dude actually started learning, and I respect it tremendously. The question is, do we trust him? Here's a guy who's got a private island where he's got his own custom Wagyu beef. I can't say that this guy is in touch with people. He's been heavily criticized for the spying that's gone on Facebook, how he's just worked with the government, the Zuckerbucks. This guy's got a track record that says bad things. But you know what? He's also a dude wielding a very big stick, who is trying desperately to redeem himself in the eyes of the public. That's an opportunity. I long said this. Donald Trump may not be a good guy. I think Trump is a good guy. I'm just saying this. I think Trump is a good dude. I think he has an ego. I think he wants to be loved and wants to be liked, but I also think he's aiming towards positive things, good things. I think he's certainly interested in himself, don't get me wrong, but what really drives Trump's self is that he wants you to respect him. I tell people this, look, you meet Donald Trump. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I'm like, he's gonna praise you. He's gonna lavish you with praise. He is charismatic. He's gonna smile, and he's gonna compliment you. He is an excellent salesman. He knows how to make people like him, and that's what he really wants. Now, perhaps deep down, he's an evil man who's like, once everyone loves me, I can have everything. The world will be mine. Wahaha. And you're like, oh no, he's evil. What's his plan? My first plan will be to help every American afford health care. Really? Yes, then they'll all love me. It's like, okay. Donald Trump certainly isn't liked by everybody. My point is this. If Mark Zuckerberg is an evil guy who deep down is like, I will control the world, and his plan is like, I'm going to promote libertarian values and improve myself and tell others to do the same. Ha ha ha. It's like, well, those are good things. I mean, if he's doing it because he knows that his power wanes when he's out of touch with the people and looks more robotic, sure. My point is, okay, don't trust him. But if he's going to help Donald Trump win, sure. Whatever his motivations are behind the scene, I don't know that we can function as a country, as a society, off the idea that intentions dictate. Someone may have evil intentions and they do good things. Well, I can't read your mind, dude. Okay. You ran into a burning building to save puppies, not because you love puppies, but because you want to be on TV. Well, okay, but you saved the puppies. That's what matters, right? And there are people who genuinely believe if a guy runs into a burning building and carries out 2 babies and is like, please, television cameras, look what I did in saving these babies. I am a great hero. We'd be like, yeah, you are. I mean, you sound kind of like a dick, but, we really do appreciate you saved the babies. If the motivation of the man to save the babies was that he wants to be loved and respected, are we mad? I don't care what your motivations are. You saved some babies. That's what I say about Mark Zuckerberg. He did a bunch of bad things. Believe he's evil. Have fun with it. But if he turns around and is doing good things, trying to endear himself to the public, let's encourage he do more of that. Imagine if Mark Zuckerberg's plan was, I want to be the wealthiest person in control of everything. Facebook will dominate. How do you get there, sir? I have to support libertarian values and promote classical liberalism. We're like, okay. Well, those are good things. Good, I guess. And that's it. I see Zuckerberg as a guy who wants to run a business, and Facebook is in trouble. Facebook ain't doing all that well. I mean, they are. Don't get me wrong. But what I mean is they're an aging platform. That's why they bought Instagram. That's why they bought WhatsApp. They know that Facebook won't always be it. It's mostly boomers now. And as the boomers get older and less young people are using Facebook, you got a Facebook problem. So he needs to find a way to endear himself to the market. And the market ain't for the Zuckerbucks pro-Democrat garbage. And so it sounds like he's playing that game. But I'll stress this again, too, as I made an earlier point. I think that a large component of this is that he looked at himself in the memes and the mirrors. Who wants to be the pale, pasty, robotic guy who's like, Facebook is a platform? Nah, you want to be like, he's got a chain around his neck. The dude went to Hawaii, got a tan, grew some facial hair, and was like, I just like to look like a normal person for once. I think he wants to fit in. Most people do. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll take what I can get. Let's see you walk the walk, Zuck. Come out, do some podcasts, talk about what's going on. I know he's done some. Talk about the problems we saw before. But let's not revel or wallow in what he did in the last election. Let's talk about how you're going to make it up to the rest of us. I'm not saying Zuckerberg should go out and dump money into supporting Donald Trump. In fact, I would be strongly against that. I say Facebook should stop censoring, should allow people to express their ideas. Maybe then you'll bring some users back. If Facebook stopped censoring, we would be posting there. We post our shows on Facebook, and periodically we don't, because we know if we say even a single word that is not even offensive, they'll nuke the show. So how about if you want more users on your platform, you, compete in the marketplace. Let's see it, Zuck. I'd love to see it. And then we can talk about how you're doing these things that will make everything better. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. My friends, smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel. Follow me on X at Timcast. The next segment coming up, recession is coming. I hope you guys are ready. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all at 6 p.m. But for everybody else, we are going to get some super chats in. Zach Ayasi says, I don't skate, but I really want a booby boards. Give me booby boards. I'm gonna pull this up again for you guys because so this was Sam who made this. Shout out Sam for designing the booby board. I didn't even know. This is such a good board. The boobies. I want one so bad. And we don't have any of these because this is not part of the original run. So that's a booby. We got to get one of those boards. We're sold out of everything. Taylor still has boards. For those that aren't familiar, Taylor Silverman is a female skateboarder. She competes and she lost several contests to male skateboarders and spoke out against them. And so she rides for the boonies, and she's got her own board, and it is the last one that's available right now. So if you're interested in standing up for women's sports and saying that we do not want males competing against women, you can always pick up a Taylor Silverman Pro Model board as well. And Mr. Bokus, rest in peace. We got to get more boards. Wow, that's amazing. All the Tim Pool ones have sold out, too. That's kind of bonkers. We're going to get more boards, more designs, and really cool that you guys are buying the boards. I really do appreciate it, even though we're facing a recession. I really want a booby board, man. All right. The White Trash Panda says, hey, Tim, I sent an AI-generated image of you as a chicken to Ian and X. Thought it might be a good deck graphic. X user Martyr Mouse. I think I may have seen that. I'm not sure. Yeah, so the first board we made was just like, it's rooster. Tim Pool board with roosters and wineberries. So it, let me pull it up for you. So the Tim Pool board, these in the back are wineberries, which grow all over West Virginia. And up top, you have Paw Paw, West Virginia. And then you have Roberto Jr. He is a rooster. He is no longer alive. He had a heart attack and he died. I'm not kidding. He literally had a heart attack. It happens. Poor guy. His dad's still around, though. Roberto is the king and RB3. So we need to make sure we continue the line. Rest in peace, Roberto Jr. Now, there was a textual error. You'll notice that all the graphics have cursive. And I guess what happened. But if we're adding 30 people who are coming from out, who have to sign in and check in and buy tickets, then we're going to have to order more food, hire more security, changes everything. But it's going to be fun. I imagine we'll be playing Magic the Gathering quite a bit, and we'll get a table set up. It'll be a lot of fun. So if you're a member at timcast.com and you play Commander, and you are looking to get destroyed in a game with one of the most powerful decks imaginable, then by all means. If you're a member at Timcast, here's the plan. We are preparing for our election day party. There are probably only going to be around 30 tickets, about 30 or so tickets. And it will be first for elite members only. And you will have access to buy those tickets for about a week to make sure that anybody who's an elite member who wants to get access can. And then because we do have more than 30 elite members, we do not sell out, we will then send it off to our, the next tier, probably the 20, it's probably going to go to like the silver tier, $25 a month members. I feel bad. Look, I'm always, fairly lefty on this stuff. I hate the idea that money separates you from access to things like this. But the real issue is we have to hire security guards for insurance purposes. We can't do these things at our public building unless we abide by their insurance restrictions. And we can't have the building because it's financed and that requires insurance. So it's all part of this big system. And if we want to have food and set it up properly, then it costs a lot of money. And so it's going to be members only. For those that have been members and help sustain everything, we appreciate it. And then there's going to be a cost. We're thinking it might be between $300 and $400 or whatever. But you basically come and hang out all day till 2 in the morning or whatever. And I got to talk to the guys over at Mamba Collectibles. Shout out to Mamba about maybe we can do a private commander event. So for those that actually play Magic the Gathering and want to come and bring decks, you can hang out, and that will happen. And, maybe we'll do something else. We'll have some other stuff going on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's the news. It is bad news. Bad news indeed, my friend. This is scary stuff. Business Insider says Bloomberg's chief economist shares why there's a 70% chance the U.S. economy is recession bound and warns a stock market sell-off could sink consumer spending. This is Bloomberg's chief economist. This is not some fly-by-night garbage conspiracy theory website. Even over at Yahoo Finance, risk of recession in the U.S. remains elevated. In fact, many believe we are actually in a recession right now, and they're flubbing the numbers so that you cannot know. That way, they can go to you and say, guys, there's no recession. Vote Democrat. Everything will be fine. Look at this from the Daily Mail. Almost 130 Pizza Hut restaurants to shut as franchise owner gives up. That's crazy, man. South and Midwest closing for good. The franchisee who runs them has put them up for sale after filing for bankruptcy in July due to mounting debts. People ain't buying pizza. Yo, this is the pizza index. If people aren't ordering pizza, then what is going on, man? EYM now has asked advisory firm National Franchise Sales to help find a buyer for a further 127 Illinois, Georgia, South Carolina, and Wisconsin on the brink of shutting as part of a dispute. They were abruptly shuttered, a financial bust-up between the parent company and their franchise. Mounting debts is the key factor here. Take a look at this the other day. Hooters abruptly closes dozens of underperforming restaurants across the country, and now they have $300 million in mounting debts, and there's concern Hooters may actually shut down. Now, of course, Hooters is a place you go to look at boobs, and that ain't selling nothing these days. Look, my friends, when I was younger, the young guys would be like, hey, do you guys want to go to Hooters? And I'd be like, really, dude? And they'd be like, no, they got really good wings. And I'd be like, no, they don't. Okay. They don't have good wings. Okay. The wings are fine. I don't know. I looked at a picture. I looked up Hooters and I was like, the wings actually looked pretty good, to be completely honest. I was like, actually, those do look pretty good, but it's a chain restaurant. Come on. You think they're going to, I tell you what, I go to the local spot over here and they got the best wings ever. Okay. Local spot. There's one spot around here. And they're like never frozen wings. They're always fresh. And, whatever. The point is, everybody says that. The guys would say that because it was an excuse to go to Hooters where there are big-tittied women walking around selling your products. Here's the bad news. If big-tittied women and chicken wings ain't selling no more, we're in a recession. I'm telling you. It's getting scary out there. Business Insider says, apparently, a lot of nothing because it's a weird website. There's a 70% chance the U.S. economy is either in a recession or headed towards one, according to U.S. economist Anna Wong. While that might be as strange to hear for the majority of investors who see a soft landing coming as the Fed cuts rates, the biggest indication for Wong that a downturn is ahead is the deterioration in employment indicators. The one that stands out most to Wong is the much talked about sustained rise in unemployment. The SOM rule, measuring the change in the rate's 3-month moving average. Now it's at 0.57, having crossed the 0.5% recession threshold. Wong believes the 0.5 level is actually conservative, and that a mark of 0.33 is just as accurate in identifying a downturn in real time. Wow. Wong's downcast view are the more under-the-radar employment flows data, or the number of people going into or coming out of various states of employment. A rising number of people heading into unemployment isn't necessarily a problem if they can quickly find another job. But hiring is slow right now, with job openings and hiring intentions falling. This is causing a growing number of unemployed people to stay unemployed, a pattern seen in prior recessions, Wong pointed out. Wong said this can set off a vicious cycle that fuels a further rise in the unemployment rate. And it's why she said it would be unheard of for the Fed to keep the unemployment rate at 4.4 or lower. I'm not an economist, so a lot of these numbers things kind of go over my head. All I'm hearing is lady going, bad number, recession coming. Quote, initially in all the recessions, this is how the unemployment rates tend to rise. The next stage as well, firms' revenues are down, the attrition rate is down, and they have to resort to layoffs. And that usually happens 2 quarters into a recession. Oh, crap. That means the next several months are going to get bad. Now, fortunately for us, I warned about this too, my friends. We are in, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give you the media buyer's indicator of recession. I believe that people in media have a better indication of recession than other industries. We make our money off advertising. And this is why we do Timcast.com membership so strongly. Go to Timcast.com, sign up, become a member, support our work. Because I'm not confident the economy is doing all that well, and memberships are sustainable. But when recessions do hit, many of our members cancel and they say, sorry, man, I just can't afford it. We're in a recession right now. And I can respect that. It's tough. But understand this. If you guys can't afford it, we can't either. And that's not like a blame statement. It's saying like when recessions hit, everybody gets hit. When people cancel memberships, we also start to pull things back as well. That's why I always say, if you appreciate the work we do and you think it's important or vital, become a member, but always take care of yourself, your friends and your family before you take care of people like, companies like ours. Even if you think it's important, understand your priorities are your family. That being said, we should be seeing right now a major spike in revenue across the board because of the election. Kamala Harris and Trump are running major political ads, and so are super PACs. This is a massive influx of cash into the market. But what we're seeing right now is moderate stability. I've seen a decent uptick, don't get me wrong, in some ads on many of these videos, but with a massive influx of political money, 2 things happen. I'll just say, here's what happens. Typically, you have small businesses as the primary fuelers of programmatic ads in media. So on YouTube, mom and pop's diner, they're going to spend $100 a month, if that, on ads to the local community who may watch YouTube and then see Mom and Pop's Diners right for you just down the street on Route 15. And that's $100. That don't mean nothing to nobody. That gets spread out so thin, ain't nobody really going to see it. But with every small business having a very small budget and doing these advertisements, small box stores, convenience stores, not like bodegas, but like, supermarkets buying ads, this means that they've got the revenue to market. So they're making money. They begin marketing. When things start going downhill and their profits start going down and they're tightening their belts, their marketing budgets decrease. All of a sudden, we see our view counts and our rates are the same, but ad sales are diminished. And so we go, wait, hold on there a minute. Right now, with an increase of political cash, there should be more competition. Each podcast I put up has a certain amount of slots for inventory. So it's usually, just for this show, we do pre-roll only. We may in the future pick up some mid-roll sponsors on this show because we have segment breaks, but never for IRL. That would make no sense. On this show, I do the break for Super Chats, and you guys as Super Chatters are basically the mid-roll ads. You pay money, I read what you say, right? That's how it works. A company may say, we'll pay you more to read what we say. So I may do that in the future, we'll see. Our inventory right now for this show is just the pre-roll. There's a set rate based on how many views you can get for how much you can sell it for. And it's been fairly stable. But with the competition with political injection, it should go up. Because now you're going to have super PACs, you're going to have activist groups, nonprofits, charities. They should be coming in and saying, no. We want to buy these spaces right now. We need them right now. Primarily, this affects programmatic ads. Those are ads that are automatically placed on the content on audio podcasts, YouTube, or otherwise. It means that I don't have anything to do with it. I make the video, I say monetize, and then YouTube decides to play an ad. I don't know what company it is. I don't know if it's Trump or Kamala Harris or whoever, but a portion of that revenue, about 60, 70%, comes to me. So if a diner is spending money on YouTube, and then along comes Donald Trump and he says, I want to run an ad. YouTube says, well, look, this guy's offered me $1 for the spot. What are you going to offer me? Trump says $2. They say, okay, $2 it is. You want to spend more than $2? Going once, going twice? Trump it is. So your revenue goes up because there are more ads and more competition for ads. We are not seeing it. We are not seeing it. Every election cycle, you see a boon in ad spending. We are not seeing it. Again, it's not a bad, but I would consider it to be like moderately stable or a slight uptick. It should be a boom right now with Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris. I mean, 2020 was nuts. 2017, 2018, these were crazy times. The midterms were huge. 2022, we saw a big boost. Here's what I think's happening. Small businesses are pulling back on their budgets. The inventory is being filled by political ads. So everything seems to be kind of the same. The competition ain't there because small businesses can't afford it. They're laying people off. They're shutting down Pizza Hut. They're shutting down Hooters. They're saying the recession is coming or it may already be here. And I think the government is lying about what's going on because they don't want people freaking out. But when you get Don Lemon walking down the street in Atlantic on the boardwalk and he's like, who are you voting for? And the guy goes, Donald Trump. He goes, why? The economy is really bad. And then what does Don Lemon do? Actually, the economy is really good. You're wrong. Bro, isn't Don Lemon a millionaire? What's Don Lemon's net worth? Okay, let's I don't trust these websites, but I'm going to Google it anyway. The first estimate is that Don Lemon's net worth is 12 million. Okay. I don't know if that's actually true. These things are usually wrong. In my opinion, they tend to greatly overestimate or underestimate. I remember one time they said Ian Crossland's net worth was $5 million. And maybe it is. I don't know. You never know with that guy. He's doing something with graphene. But my point is, Don Lemon is a wealthy man who had a cable TV contract for a very long time. Of course, he was making bank. He does not see it. He's got such cash probably sitting in his account and investments that he's making money off money. And when he goes to the grocery store, I bet he doesn't even look at the bill. I bet he just throws, when he goes to the grocery store and he grabs things, he doesn't look at how much they cost. He just grabs it, throws it in his cart. He goes up and then they're just like, that'll be $7.93. And he's like, what did you say something? Oh, here, beep, on his card. And then he walks out. In fact, he may even have people do the shopping for him. And he says to his personal executive assistant, whatever, can you pick up some more yogurt and soy milk for me? Sure. I bet if you asked him how much is a loaf of bread, he'd be like, I don't know. He doesn't know. I tell you, the average American person, the average American knows exactly how much this stuff costs. I tell you, I bring up salami because we used to buy these nice little salamis and they were $7 for a pack. Now they're 15. They keep going up, man. We don't even buy them anymore. $15. Look, let me tell you guys. Ain't nobody everyone's gonna say, Tim, we know you're well off. You run a big successful show and all that jazz. No, I know. But we buy food and supplies for our staff every single day. I'm the one who goes on these websites and looks up and chooses. That's why we have a lot of sugar-free stuff. That's why we have Spindrift. See, Spindrift is delicious because it's got 1 carbohydrate in it. And it's just, what are the ingredients on this thing? Carbonated water, raspberry puree, and lime juice. Not sponsored by them. But I'm the one who's choosing this stuff. And so we've got protein shakes that are low sugar. We've got Numa energy drinks. I'm sorry, they're not energy drinks. They do have them. These are Numa sports drinks. So I go on Amazon and I'm looking at prices. And what happens is I'll load up a cart with like, okay, we want these things to be delivered. And then a week later or 2 weeks later, I'll forget about it. And I'll come back and I'm like, your cart has been updated with an increase in prices. I'm seeing all of that happen. The economy is not doing well right now, and they're trying to tell us that it is. I am running a business and looking at our ad rates. I'm negotiating with advertisers. I'm seeing these things, and I'm like, something bad is happening. I'm hoping Donald Trump can turn it around. But I got to tell you, after 3.5 years of Kamala Harris, there's a reason why it's not improved. They ain't improving it. They're dumping our money into Ukraine. I understand the money spent is they build bombs and things like this, but their mass spending means they go to a bomb manufacturer and say, we want artillery shells. We're going to pay you $1 million. They say, okay, they create money upon issuance of debt, injecting money into the system. That company then pays their employees to make the bombs. Those employees then go to the supermarket and buy everything up. They're producing bombs. that we don't see, that do not improve the economy and are lost as soon as they're fired in Ukraine. If in the United States someone said, I'm going to make a table and I want a loaf of bread or a lot of loaves of bread, the table stays here in America. That table can be reused and recycled. But when you make bombs, those bombs blow up and are gone forever. The value leaves. That's the important thing. There's a lot more to break down in economics. But I'll tell you this, man, they are lying, and I am deeply concerned about the state of this economy. Pizza Hut closing down? Hooters! We're going to have to go and check out these wings and see if they're actually what everyone is raving about is true. I'm going to leave it there, my friends. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with all your friends. We're back tonight at 8 p.m. at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thank you all so much for hanging out. We'll see y'all next time. And we'll grab a couple more of your super chats. A couple more super chats. Cautious TV says, Pizza Hut is not good. My first choice a word weren't allowed by YouTube. Pizza Hut puts artificial sweeteners in their crust. I don't need it. Papa John's. Not Papa John's. That's real. It's funny because Papa John is based, and he also has the best pizza. Little Caesars is also very good as well. I'm not playing games with you. Look at the ingredients that they use for Little Caesars and Papa John's. And when Papa John would say better ingredients, better pizza, he was not kidding. I looked at Domino's. The ingredients list is disgusting. Pizza Hut, even worse. They put Splenda in their crust. Dude, I don't need sweet bread with fake sugar in it. That's disgusting. Dude, I'm going to play a video for you guys. You know, we got a little extra time. I'm going to play a video from our good friend, RFK Jr. I'm a big fan. RFK Jr. is the man. Listen to this.
This is what most Americans innocently put into their bodies these days, and most alarmingly, into the bodies of their children. And it's no coincidence that Americans die earlier than Canadians or Germans or Italians or Japanese or Koreans or Australians or most any other comparable country. Wow. And it wasn't always that way until the early 1990s. Our life expectancy was the same or better than other developed countries. Then suddenly, more and more Americans began suffering from chronic diseases, from obesity, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, Alzheimer's, heart disease, and all kinds of autoimmune diseases. Our maternal mortality rate soared to the highest of any developed country on earth. Same with infant mortality. Like the frog in the slowly boiling water, we didn't really notice as we got sicker and sicker. We've grown now to accept chronic disease conditions as normal. But now, in 2024, we're finally waking up to this cataclysm, and we're asking ourselves, how in the world did this happen? Well, a big part of it is our diet. Restaurants that serve contaminated food are fined or shut down. But when it's the government that approves the poisons in our food, a few people get very, very rich, and the toxins end up in every supermarket aisle. Let me show you what I mean. Doritos, Cheez-Its, Cap'n Crunch, gummy bears. Everyone knows that these are junk foods, so maybe you wouldn't be too surprised to see that the ingredients include a lot of poisons, including a harmful yellow dye called tetrazine, or yellow dye number 5. What you may not know is that this dye was originally made out of the sludge that's left over when you turn coal into coke for blast furnaces. It's called coal tar, and I've actually sued many big industries for legacy contamination of coal tar all around the country because it's so toxic and it's so harmful to the environment and human beings. A century ago, it was just an obnoxious industrial byproduct that everybody was trying to figure out ways to get rid of. One of the ways that they did that was by paving roads. But then a British chemist figured out that the coal tar could be used to derive fabric dye. And if fabric dye, why not food? Food manufacturers began using it to cover up the discoloration of low-quality foods that they wanted to pass off on unsuspecting customers. They didn't know back then that this yellow dye, tartrazine, causes tumors, asthma, developmental delays, neurological damage, ADD, ADHD, hormone disruption, gene damage, anxiety, depression, intestinal injuries. Ooh. Well, we know it now. We've known this for decades. That's why tartrazine is heavily restricted in other countries. In some countries, foods with tartrazine have a warning label that it may cause ADHD in children. Wow. Today, it's made from petroleum, not coal tar. Either way, it's crazy to add this to your kids' favorite foods. It doesn't even change the flavor. This yellow dye isn't just in junk food. It's in the foods that we consider healthy. It's in everyday kids' snacks like popcorn, mac and cheese, fruit snacks. It's in sports drinks like Gatorade and so-called vitamin water. It's even added to chicken broth, to corn, to pickles, to mustard, and to yogurt. And so, of course, our kids get sick. And we lovingly feed them chewable vitamins which have, surprise, tartrazine. And so the cycle continues until the coughs and asthma kick in, at which point you go to pick up some cough syrup. And yeah, you guessed it, tartrazine. I've been picking on tartrazine today, but that's just one of at least 100 chemical poisons that our health agencies allow into our children's food. I can make a video just like this to talk about Red 40, BHA, BHD, potassium bromate, chemical after chemical, and on and on and on. If just one of them can cause all of these problems, imagine what they're doing in combination. That has never been studied. If we took all of these chemicals out, our nation would get healthier immediately. We'd have fewer sick days. We'd have better focus. We'd have less anxiety. Our kids would learn more easily. We'd lose weight. We'd have more energy. We'd have fewer tumors and longer lives. It's not all dark. Over the past 16 years, the government has banned 8 chemical additives that cause cancer, genetic damage, asthma, and many of the other health conditions as tartrazine does. And you know what's interesting? All 8 of those crucial steps forward in our kids' health were taken under President Trump. Democrats who claim to be all about health care have stood by watching other countries ban these poisons and make our kids sick, asthmatic, hyperactive, and depressed. They left them on every supermarket shelf in America. They even used your tax money to put them in your kids' school lunch. So their big food and their big ag donors probably gave them all that golden handshake and the big money hug. And their big pharma donors probably called them up and thanked them also, because now they're going to make billions selling Adderall, Prozac, and rescue inhalers. Enough is enough. President Trump and I are going to stop the mass poisoning of American children. Together, we're going to make America healthy again.
Yeah. Yeah, that was amazing. I've been saying this, man, since I interviewed RFK Jr. You can see the passion light up in his eyes when he talks about environmental toxins and chronic disease, and he is the man to lead this charge. This right here, those 2 men shaking hands, hits the nail on the head with the hammer. I want Trump's foreign policy back. I want him saying no more killing. We want peace. We want to end the wars. I want RFK Jr. saying cut out the garbage from our foods and stop putting this trash in everything we eat. You know what I've been doing, my friends? For breakfast, I have 2 farm fresh eggs straight from the chicken's butt. Not an exaggeration. Pops right out, crack it open, throw it on the grill. On a frying pan. I put some olive oil in the pan. I mix a little bit of olive oil into the eggs. And then I put a little bit of cheese. We get the good organic stuff, some goat cheese, and some avocado. I stay away. I've been staying away from all of this garbage. If I see a food product and it's got some wacky BS that I cannot easily identify, I avoid it. Now, I'm not perfect, okay? Because sometimes junk food's okay, but you want to restrict it. Me, I take a look at something. I'm not an idiot. I understand that certain vitamins will have a chemical-looking name. I'll look into those things. If it makes sense, it makes sense. I know what sucralose is. Not interested. So when I look at a product and it's got tartrazine, they don't even call it that. They mask the names. Yellow 5. It's just yellow. It's just brown in water. No, dude, that's not correct. Red dye is made from like this parasite they crush up and mix in. It's ridiculous. Why are we eating this stuff? Just... You know, you can buy American cheese, and you can get white American or yellow American, and all the yellow is they put food dye in it. Why? You don't need it. That's nuts. I bought some cottage cheese, and I got Daisy. You know why? Because the ingredient was cream. It was like skim milk, cream, salt. Well, I know what that means. You look at some of these other brands, and it's got weird words in it. It's got Gellin gum. I know what that is, but I don't want to eat it. Nasty. Shout out to RFK Jr. and Donald Trump. We're going to make America healthy again. My friends, smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. It's the best show. Everyone agrees. We'll be back tonight at 8 p.m. at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Please consider becoming a member at timcast.com to support our work directly. But of course, there's always Cast Brew. There's always Cast Brew Coffee and BooniesHQ.com. Now, I will say this for Boonies HQ, it's a different company, and it's a totally separate thing from the podcast because it's going to be a video endeavor which has much, much higher costs and needs to be self-sufficient on its own and operate on its own. And they've been doing a great job. But of course, I'll still promote it, and I appreciate you guys buying the boards and supporting our work directly. As for our podcast offerings, we're hoping to make it so that all of the podcasts we do, your Timcast membership will get you the bonuses for everything as we expand. And we've got some big expansion plans coming, and really excited to see it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. We're back tonight, and we'll see y'all then.